Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC 324. In this matchup, we have Natálie Sliva taking on Rose Namajunas. So, this is a very interesting matchup to break down in the flyweight division. Now, it was originally supposed to be Alexa Grasso taking on Rose Namajunas, which, similarly, I was intrigued by the fight. I definitely was going to pick Rose for that one as well. I definitely think neither of them has looked spectacular as of recent. I thought Rose could just edge it out by being a bit technically superior in all areas. But unfortunately, Grasso had to pull out, and stepping in on short notice is Natálie Sliva, which is quite surprising for me, as I figured Silva was just going to wait until she got a title shot, because I'm going to be real here. Natálie Sliva is the rightful number one contender in this women's flyweight division. Undefeated in the UFC, and has increasingly been better and better competition. Look at her current 5 opponents, absolutely whooped the full, or sorry, sorry about that. Absolutely whooped Victoria Leonardo belt to ass, essentially. Then decision wins over Andrea Lee, Vivian Araujo. That Jessica Andrade fight was amazing too. And then most recently at UFC 305, beat Alexa Grasso. Meanwhile, I look at Rose Namajunas, former 2-time champion in the strawweight division. She moved up to flyweight about 2.5 years ago, just about, against Manon Fiorot. She lost that fight, unfortunately. And since then, Rose is basically 3-2 in the division, beating names like Amanda Ribas, Tracy Cortez, and Miranda Maverick, but losing to just the upper echelon in not only Manon Fiorot, but also Erin Blanchfield. So it seems like there's a clear ceiling for Rose in this division, but she's getting a big opportunity now, fighting essentially the number one contender. And, if Rose wins, there's a good shot at her getting the next title shot. Of course, that's only theoretical, but it could very well happen. Now, with that being said, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Rose, I'm going to start with Rose here. Rose is a very methodical counter-striking technician. She is well known for her movement, footwork, and ability to set traps. Namajunas thrives in distance control, using straight punches, kicks, and feints to frustrate opponents and create openings for decisive counters. If you remember, in the first fight with Zhang Weili, Rose did a great job of just using her hands to bait Weili, just making Weili think Rose is going to strike, use her punching first. And then the moment Weili is so focused on Rose's hands, Rose just fires off a switch kick to the head, to the face out of nowhere. Or against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Rose is very good at timing that overhand right and then left hook to knock out Joanna. So Rose is just very good at setting up feints and traps. The thing is, at flyweight, not so much. Now she can still hurt a lot of her opponents, but she's not really been the finisher she used to be. During her time at strawweight, obviously she won decisions before, but Rose was a much more aggressive fighter, either hunting for that knockout or more typically hunting for the submission, as Rose is a very good back taker, very good submission artist, specifically that rear naked choke. She was always a good submission artist, but over the years, as her career went on, she just got better at being more disciplined in managing her cardio. And one of her biggest strengths over the years was Rose's ability of timing and patience, because Rose no longer forces exchange. She waits for the right moment. Like in her most recent fight against Miranda Maverick, when Maverick continuously kind of charged at Rose. Rose fired off a perfect left hook counter that dropped Miranda Maverick. Same with Cortez too. Rose dropped her with a left hook as well. I think the challenge for Rose, though, is that a lot of these flyweights are bigger than her. And I don't think not so much out-muscle her, because Rose is still technically superior than most of these fighters. Most of these flyweights, especially on the ground. Rose is just technically superior to all of them, it seems. But it seems like they can use their weight to their advantage. What I mean is, Rose, like I said, hasn't been really the finisher she used to be. Not at flyweight, anyway. You look at all 3 of her wins, all of them are clear decisions. But she's just not been the finisher she used to be. Now, I don't know whether if it's just because she's no longer with Trevor Whitman's camp, or, you know, one of the things about moving to the heavier weight classes is that sometimes the power doesn't translate like it did in the lower weight classes, and you're not as the finisher you used to be. Again, it just seems like something is blocking Rose from doing the full potential we all damn well know she has. It's just weirdly odd, but she's so clearly a top 10 level fighter, more or less a top 5 really, because she can beat anybody in the top 10. It's just that top 5 has that one edge over it seems. Now, looking at Natálie Sliva, she is incredibly fast. That is the biggest thing that Natálie Sliva has over just about everybody, including the champion. Natálie Sliva is the fastest women's flyweight on the roster by a million miles. Her footwork, her ability to dart in and out, her reaction time, and her ability to lean back from danger at even just the last second is quite impressive. Even in the apex where she fought most of these opponents, she was able to lean back, more or less stay out of danger, even against, like, say, Jessica Andrade, who's one of the hardest hitters in all of women's MMA. Natálie Sliva not only was able to stay out of danger for the most part, she was able to eat some shots too. I would say, obviously I think most of Silva's striking really comes down to her taekwondo and her kicking game. It is absolutely beautiful to watch her work, whether it's timing, spinning back kicks, head kicks, spinning back fist, doesn't really matter. Silva's just really good at timing it, all of her strikes together, whether it's in combinations or single strikes. And Silva does such a good job at maintaining distance to where she can hit you cleanly on the outside for all 15 minutes or less, and most of her opponents are never going to touch her. Like you saw with Alexa Grasso, who on paper should have been Natálie Sliva's roughly her toughest fight, or at least the most skilled opponent she had fought, like a former champion. And but Grasso couldn't do a thing because Silva was just circling on the outside, never really letting Grasso get too close. Even when Grasso did, they were few and far between. Now, Silva doesn't really present any grappling threat. Most of her grappling / wrestling is takedown defense and grappling defense. Now, that being said, Silva is extremely hard to get to take down. You saw how hard Viviane Araújo tried and just simply could not succeed because Silva has such good balance and has the frame to do it. She's one of the more or less, I say bigger at 5'4", when really it's more so she's more so tall, lanky. She has incredible balance, and more times than not, her feet are always planted on the ground when she's defending takedowns. Very good at fighting the hands and never really letting her opponents clasp their hands together. Now, looking at the stylistic clash, these two are very technically proficient strikers. I say Rose is overall a more, well-rounded striker because her punches and kicks are very deadly. And she can finish, and we've seen her finish opponents with punches and or kicks. While Silva, most of her finishes come via her kicks. I'd say her kicks are her biggest weapon. Excuse me. That being said, I'm not saying Silva is a bad puncher by any means, but I just think Rose is slightly a more, I wouldn't say dynamic, but well-rounded striker. Now, there is a big threat for Silva in the terms of the grappling, because Rose is easily the best submission artist Silva has ever faced. Viviane Araújo is a good wrestler and pretty good with top pressure, but she is not the submission threat that Rose is, because if Rose can take that back of Silva, I think she could choke her out for sure. But Rose has got to get her down, and even then, she's got to close that distance, and that's going to be very tricky. Because while Rose is an inch taller, they have roughly the same reach at 65 inches. Now, I don't have statistics when it comes to how tall the range of their legs, but I think Silva is going to be able to stay on the outside for a majority of the time. Now, Rose has good kicks herself. In fact, early in her career, she threw a lot of spinning attacks, kind of like what Silva does. But Rose has not really fought like that in years. She is much more conservative with her energy and much more, while basic, very well structured and very well disciplined with those basic strikes. But again, in order for Rose to be as much of a threat as I think she is in this fight, and that is comes to the grappling, she got to get Silva down. And I don't know if she is, because Silva is so hard to take down. Is that her balance is just so good. Her ability to fight the hands is great and very well trained. You can see it. And overall, Silva, and even then, her first order takedown defense, that is like never allowing the takedown to happen, and is spectacular just because Silva's so good at circling away. And when it comes to that distance striking, I think Silva's going to beat just about every flyweight on the roster. Now, obviously, Shevchenko, that's a different question, but I would have to wait until that fight would ever get made before talking about that. But for my official prediction, I have to go with Natálie Sliva. While Rose has elite striking and elite level experience, I think Silva's speed, her range control, and overall her dynamic kicking game are going to be too much. And I just think her Silva's ability to circle out of danger, her ability to fight off takedowns extremely well, and just being more or less, honestly, just like the fresher fighter at 28, are the advantages needed for her to beat Rose. So once again, I'm going to pick Natálie Sliva, and I'm going to pick via decision. I don't really see her finishing Rose. If Natálie Sliva finishes Rose Namajunas, she's next in line without a doubt. I think she already is, but that would be spectacular for her career. But I unfortunately don't think it's going to happen. I do think we are going to get a decision in this fight. So once again, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Natálie Sliva, and I'm going to pick her via decision. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this fight. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. Until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.